Hey everybody, Brian Goulet here with Drew Brown
Hi.
of GouletPens.com. Drew is our customer care manager here, and he's joining me because he is particularly passionate and knowledgeable about today's subject, which is clearing up some of the, what I will call, myths of the Lamy 2000. So basically, what's happening, if I can explain this right, Drew, is we're getting in a lot of requests, emails, and even with people's orders saying, I love the Lamy 2000, I hear great things, but there are a lot of quality control issues that I hear about the nibs. Can you please test my pen before it goes out?
I mean, it's a super popular pen, you know, so a lot of people buy it, a lot of people are curious about it, and naturally, misconceptions occur.
Well, and I would imagine, too, that this is a lot of people's first gold nib pen because it's kind of right in that price range. It's a piston fill. It's a lot of wonderful things going on with this pen, but people are scared because of the things that they hear about it. So
it's a very interesting place to jump up to.
Yeah, so what are some of the things that you're hearing? Like, you're getting some of this stuff in. What are people scared of?
It's always the way it writes. It's never about the piston operation or the overall aesthetics of the pen. I mean, this pen's been around forever, so that's not an issue. But people have a hard time either getting it to write for them. Sometimes they say it's scratchy. Mostly it has to do with flow, and they say that it skips a lot. There's a good reason for all of that, and it's not exactly what it appears. And you know, I love this pen. I love testing the pen, but I see so many people mention quality control issues, and it drives me nuts because it's not quality control. It's a very, very interesting pen with a very, very interesting and unique nib.
And that's what we're going to try to explain in this video today. What are these quality control issues that you're hearing about, and how do we kind of debunk that? Because what we're seeing after testing hundreds of these pens over the years, there's been, what, maybe one or two like legitimate quality control issues.
Less than 5 that have to do with the nib anyway. Yeah.
So it's got a phenomenal, you know, quality control that we're seeing.
It's been around forever.
Absolutely. It's almost 50 years this pen has been made now. So we're going to try and clear that up for you here today.
What I think is the main cause of a lot of this confusion is the famous Lamy 2000 sweet spot, which, you know, if you've done any reading, and most of the folks that are, you know, asking me to test these pens because of something they've heard They have heard about the Lamy 2000 sweet spot, and that is totally legit.
So what is the sweet spot, though, for those who don't know?
Well, Brian, the sweet spot is a part of the nib that basically tells you, this is where I want to write. The 2000 will tell you, I'm happy right here, keep me right here, because this is where I'm going to do the most good for you. And if you deviate from that sweet spot, it's not going to be great. You're going to have a bad time.
To give an analogy here, let's go with a sports analogy, since you and I are both such sports fans.
Yes.
It's like if you're playing like tennis or racquetball or something like that. If you hit it in the right place, it'll go exactly where you want. But if you hit it off in the wrong place, it like fiddles out. Or playing golf, there's another sports analogy. If you hit it in the wrong way, it's going to slice off and go into the woods. But if you hit it in the sweet spot, it's going to.
Yeah, and all pens are going to have this to a degree, but the 2000 is much smaller, so it's much more recognizable.
Exactly.
So what I mean by that is if you're writing and you keep it at one particular angle, you're going to get some good strokes, left to right, up, down, wherever you want. But if you take it and rotate it, like say I'm going straight, 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 and then watch what I do right here. As soon as I rotate that, look what it does. Yep. It just completely dies out. And you saw what little rotation that was.
That's exactly.
I'll bring it right back, and look, there it goes. And really watch how little I have to turn this pen to get it to crap out on me there. Look at that, just nothing. And you know, you can turn a nib with any pen and it's going to stop writing on you, but I just think that this particular nib, the way it's designed, the way the tipping material is shaped, makes it a little bit harder to keep yourself in that sweet spot.
So let's talk about what it is about this nib specifically that makes it different from other pens, because the Lamy 2000 does have more of this kind of characteristic than other fountain pens have. So Drew, go ahead and show us what exactly this nib looks like.
Okay, well, your average iridium tipping material is going to be as close to an orb or circle as you can get. There's the splitting the tines there. And putting that on the paper, you know, obviously you want to get that split lined up. But if you turn this while you're writing, it's not going to be that big of a deal because the shape is going to stay the same. An orb is an orb no matter how you rotate it. The 2000 tipping material, I find, is a little bit differently shaped. It's more of a squared circle, so it's less of an orb and looks a little bit more like this. So if you turn this, unlike the sphere, it's going to be a different shape. So you're going to get flow issues. It might feel a little bit scratchy. Again, completely different than your average tipping material.
So the nib on the Lamy 2000 is actually fairly short. If you remove it out of the pen, you can see that it's not as long as, say, you know, a Edison pen. So because of that, the tines are not going to be very long, and even though it's a gold nib, it's still relatively stiff, so it's only going to do but so much to compensate for an increased writing pressure. And the thing is, when you have a squared nib kind of like this, if you over-rotate it, you're going to start to have some of these flow issues that we're showing here.
Right.
And the way that people usually compensate for that is by pressing down harder. And when you're doing that at an angle, it's going to feel scratchy,
Yeah.
which is one of the bigger complaints that we hear. It's either I'm having flow issues with my Lamy 2000, or this pen feels scratchy and they think that tines aren't aligned or there's something wrong with the nib. But it's often due to compensation, sometimes subconsciously, for people having this flow issue due to over-rotation.
That happens to me all the time. I've been writing with the thing for years, every single day for years, and I still catch myself rotating my hand unknowingly. And really, this pen, it all boils down to basically doing what the pen wants you to do. You know, including the rotation, the way you hold it. Don't try to overcompensate. You do that and it's going to get mad at you. So just kind of, you know, work with the pen, not against it.
That's right. And this is a pen that it's going to want you to adapt to it more
Absolutely.
than it's going to want to adapt to you. And another thing I want to bring up too, because I have had people ask about this, does it matter whether you're a lefty or a righty? And I think that can depend based on your hand position. I think if you're a lefty underwriter, you might have more of that issue because of the angle that you're writing, that you would have more of those kind of strokes that normally a righty would have going from like bottom left to upper right. But even in general, I have a lot of lefties who say they love this pen and it's not an issue. So I think that the over-rotation thing is something you still have to watch out for, but it's really not like it's better or worse for lefties or righties, as long as you're writing with a proper sweet spot.
Right.
So ink can definitely be a factor as well. A wetter ink is going to flow wetter and not maybe have as much sensitivity to the over-rotation. A drier ink may have it a little bit more, so it is something to be taken into account as well, but it's really kind of the nib design factor involved here.
Yeah, I've written with wet, dry, and, you know, you see a little bit of difference, but, you know, not a lot.
So all of this taken into account, we are still more than happy to test out pens.
Love it.
You're getting it through GouletPens.com. Drew is pretty much going to be the one that tests it out.
I love it. Just don't, if you request it, don't request it because you've heard bad things about it. Because you're hearing good things about it right now. It's an awesome pen. So you should get one.
We love the pen, and we really just don't want you to be afraid to try it out because you hear a lot of good and a lot of bad, and we think that a lot of the bad is perhaps misallocated or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, give it a shot. See what you think yourself. But just go, you know, give it a shot knowing this.
Absolutely. So you can check it out on GouletPens.com and purchase it there, read more information about it. I got several other videos on the Lamy 2000. And if you want to get more videos like this, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel here. And we'd love to know what you think in the comments, either on YouTube or on the blog. Thanks so much for watching, and right on.